Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Bati. Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning, Rufai, and all our viewers out there. We begin in Asia. Asian markets have been very start-stop. They've been pretty choppy, and it looks like perhaps it's just worries as to policy outcomes of an incoming administration. So really bearish today. I mean, look at the Hang Seng, for instance. Even though I think SoftBank just released its earnings, and I think it blew its quarterly earnings out the water, which was pretty good. But still, Shanghai Composite Index down almost 1.5%. Your Kospi down almost 2%. The Hang Seng, the biggest fall of everyone out of the Asian markets this morning. Your Nikkei 225 in Japan also down as well. So, you know, I guess there's the worries over China. There's the worries over what could tariffs mean from the Trump administration. So Asia is... The U.S., however, and I don't bring up these indexes just for the sake of telling people what they are. If you invested in U.S. markets at the beginning of the year, you are smiling right now. The Dow Jones hit a new high yesterday, 44,293, across the 44,000 barrier. This is as of close of trading yesterday. The S&P 500 has hit its 51st record high this year. So it's crossed 6,000. I remember when I was reporting just months ago about whether or not it would cross 5,200, and now it's crossed 6,000. The NASDAQ, tech-heavy NASDAQ, also doing pretty well. So also, you know, look, the point is that they are expecting more deregulation from the Trump administration. They are expecting tax cuts. All these things fuel profit margins for the companies that are listed. So again, consider expanding your portfolio and investing around the world. If you're in Asia, even though Asia was bearish through 2024, you are coming out ahead. We keep that up now. Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin's rally again. Not really supported by fundamentals here, but this is more optimism. Has been incredible. In fact, as I speak, I think it's already at 89,000. I kept having to update this thing before coming into the studio. So between November the 5th, and this is just November the 5th when the election happened, and now Bitcoin is up over 35%. The past 24 hours, 10%. The past 7 days, almost 30%. Mirroring again. That's since the election last week. Year to date is up over 100%. So now the markets are like, okay, is 90,000 the new mark? Is 100,000 again? Trump, when I remember Dr. Bati said this yesterday, called Bitcoin a scam. He's now turned around and said that, well, he's pro-crypto. And, he says he's going to fire Gary Gensler, who is the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission in the U.S. Gensler has been suing a number of cryptocurrency exchanges. The community doesn't really like him very much. But the optimism that has fueled, and then there's also exchange-traded funds, spot ETF trading. You've seen a big inflow in there. So Bitcoin is just, rallying. The question now is, though, what kind of pro-crypto policies can Trump implement through Congress that will walk that fine line between risk and reward? Because there's still a number of scams out there. Wallets are being broken into. So you want to be careful as to you want to embrace crypto, but at the same time you don't want to hike up the amount of scams and losses and so on. But the rally in Bitcoin. I mean, if you have a Bitcoin wallet out there, people have been telling me, I'm going to go and look for my old wallets and check what the value is and so on and so forth. It's been pretty heavy. Back to Trump now. He put out, this clip went viral yesterday. He was talking about how he wants to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. Take a listen.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up. All those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states.
Now, the issue with this is that if you take a look at the list of what Trump is planning on doing, education is already decentralized in the United States. The rankings that he's talking about are through K-12, and that's because you're looking at New York that spends thousands of dollars per student compared to a Mississippi or an Alabama or an Arkansas, where their spending per student is very low. So the states that are frankly poorer are dragging down the averages through K-12. So he wants to dismantle the Department of Education. He wants to remove teacher tenure through K-12. So it doesn't matter. You can't just be automatically say you're going to teach for X amount of years. He wants to adopt merit pay. Teachers are not well paid in the United States, at least through the K-12 level. He says the student loan forgiveness that the Biden administration put forward is illegal, and he says they're going to pull it back. And then there's the SAVE plan, which is the Save for Valuable Education, which is supposed to give lower loan payments and extend payment periods for students that have debt. So, the thing here is, if you go through K-12 and look at the rankings he's talking about, yes, the United States compared to the Finlands and the Norways and the Denmarks is pretty low. But when it comes to higher education, if you look at the universities that were working on COVID vaccines, actually the Department of Education, the amount of grants they give out to viable technology companies, the higher institutions in the United States are some of the best in the world. So the conversation does have to include them. But again, I have to bring up Javier Milei. When we were in Washington, D.C., we had a chance to speak to Wale Edun, Minister of Finance from Argentina, and also from the Philippines. And I asked her, because Milei a month ago, this is the famous picture where he said he's going to slash government spending, and he brought out a chainsaw, right? Apuera. So, Trump is essentially adopting the Milei approach on government expenditure. Milei last month, or a month and a half ago, he vetoed a bill that was meant to increase public sector funding in Argentina because he said, I have to cut spending. It led to protests. So students have been protesting in public universities there. But, when you look at what, what Trump is doing and what Milei is trying to do, and I bring this home here, it does bring a focus on ministries, departments, and agencies. You saw the headlines from Adefemi Akinsa not long ago. The cost of healthcare in Nigeria on the front page of the Guardian. There's a Ministry of Health, right? The issues that the manufacturers are facing, where they've got inventory that is unsold. Well, you've got the industry trade ministry as well. So at this point, when we are here talking about cabinet reshuffling and firing these people and bringing in new ministers, the question now is this discussion now, as now on Twitter yesterday, on social media, everybody's talking about slashing government spending. And if he does get rid of the U.S. Department of Education, you now come and ask questions as to, okay, well, how well are what purpose are the ministries in other countries, what purpose are they serving, right? Because if you take what is being spent on the budgets for these particular ministries, the outcome, again, he's just bringing this conversation, forward again on, slashing government spending, and whether or not that is actually going to get, if you, decentralize these things down to the states, whether that gives you the outcome that you need. So that's what we're looking at today.
Okay, so a couple of things. Truth has to be said. Is this not the same Trump, if my memory is right, that puts in his bestie, Betsy DeVore,
Betsy
in that education ministry, about when he was last time in presidency? So what changed all of a sudden? You see, we should also be very careful.
Of course.
This idea of, I want to appear very populist and all of that. Because you see, part of the real targets for all of these things is saying, is the defunding of schools that teach gender, LGBT, and all of that.
Race theory.
That's where he's really going. It's not because he wants to cut cost and anything. So when he says, I want to push it to the state, he knows there are some hardline states. And like you said, states pretty much regulate the system. Look at books that were banned in Florida by the likes of Ron DeSantis. So he knows what he's doing. And all of this pretty much goes in that tandem with Project 2025. That's right. Just all he's doing. It's not because, he wants to really fix the problem. Like you said rightly, I was just checking the pizza rating. America has one of the lowest pizza rates for OECD countries, which is very sad, based on the fact that America is a, economic superpower and all of that. So, and you also tell you to Milei, the problem with all these populists is they like to play to the gallery. But where are the empiricals? Yes, the education, department was started in the 70s, But it has done more work as regards creating a stability in the system.
It has.
Those states that don't have the capacity to be able to compete with the likes of your New York and all of that, it has provided a leeway for them. So this is not just another Trump being Trump. When it suits him, he does something. This was the same position he gave to Betsy DeVos because Betsy DeVos heavily donated to his last campaign.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Well, on cutting spending, you know, I know it was a very big campaign promise conversation, especially when you now look at the state of what was the Democrat campaign. We now know that they raised about $1 billion, but ended with $20 million in debt. And so the Republicans are already...
Well, according to Trump,
not verified story.
Yeah, that's
Trump
said that. That's Trump that said that.
Trump
said that.
Trump didn't say that. It has been reported by Fox News. And they have gone into... No, you guys can't...
Fox News is not...
Okay, so CNN is correct, right? CNN is the Bible. Please tell me, is CNN the Bible?
So here's the thing. Each of the parties, they
CNN the Bible?
No, the Federal Electoral Commission, the FEC.
Have you fact-checked CNN?
That's what I'm saying. They file these numbers with the Electoral Commission. So what it is you have to wait. The election just ended on last week. We need to wait, see what the numbers that the parties file with the Electoral Commission. Then you determine how much was raised versus how much they spent.
According to CNN?
No, I'm not saying this is the Electoral Commission. I'm just going with the Electoral Board, like INEC here, right? You file how much you raised and how much you spent. Okay. So let's just wait till the numbers come out officially.
What it has come down to, while of course the final reconciliation will be made, however, for now, information has gone out along with receipts of the various benefactors of people who were contracted to be vendors for the campaign.
Right.
So yes, fine, you can laugh and say it's Fox News all you like, but at the end of the day, Fox News is also a very reputable media company that does just the same work that
and they were
CNN
close
does.
to $800 billion for election
the Dominion
denial.
election
They were fined $800 billion.
I'm not going to...
Really?
I'm not going to engage in this debate with you because
let's just wait for the numbers.
No, because ultimately, at the end of the day, we all know that they are all pushing an agenda. So for you to undermine and to patronize the agenda of a group of people that is being pushed, that has been critical in ensuring that everything that the CNN and the Democrats is selling to the world is always checked. It's unfortunate because this is what neocolonialism looks like when we are always swallowing one narrative and we're unable to challenge what the other side of the conversation looks like. So it's all fair and fine for us to laugh at Fox News. Tomorrow we're going to laugh at Al Jazeera. Who are we going to laugh at the following day?
I just think we should keep it to the numbers, though. The numbers will tell the story.
Having said that, I do think that he is towing the line of maintaining his campaign promises, and there's evidence to show that, and good for him.
We'll see.
Well, remember, I like the way you fight back against the interruptions. Once you speak, allow the next person to speak. Now, let's get into it. You talked about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, yes, has been doing very well because of this expectation, that President Trump, when he assumes office, is going to provide a better regulatory environment. Well, how that will work out, we'll see. Is President Trump going to serve personal interest because his children invested in a venture, in a crypto venture? So all of a sudden, he has changed, his position on that particular score. Now, it was 80,000 naira by weekend. $80,000 by weekend. Now it's over 89. And the projection is that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin particularly, is likely to reach about $100,000 dollars by the end of the year. This same riskiest of risk assets that people used to criticize has now become mainstream. Well, yes, the stock market keeps doing well in the United States, again, due to Trump. Asia Pacific, there was a rise, but it's gone back to bearish mode. Now, we were discussing COP29 this morning, which is ongoing in Baku, Azerbaijan. It is interesting that this morning in Amsterdam, in Holland, Netherlands, a court overturned a case against Shell in 2019. When the Hague, was it in the Hague? When the Hague District Court, in 2021, said Shell was under obligation to reduce carbon emission by 45% by 2030 target. But this morning, another court has said no. Shell that had gone on appeal is not under any obligation to reduce carbon emissions. That's the same thing we're saying about the controversy against carbon credit, carbon emission, climate adaptation, climate mitigation, climate funding. And, I was saying earlier on when Adefemi Akinsanya brought this subject, that we'll see how this is resolved in terms of the conversations in Baku, Azerbaijan, which began yesterday. Finally, FTX is suing Binance over some fraudulent deal. So again, in the realm of cryptocurrency. So while you are saying, oh, cryptocurrency is doing well, some of the investors in that zone are also quarreling. But Binance has refused to comment. You're very famous Binance. I think we had an important encounter.
Indeed.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.